and that person turns their back on us or hurts us in a way, it can affect that trust. So today, Krishna makes himself more vulnerable. He makes himself, commercial. Krishna makes himself more vulnerable. So instead of us looking at the things that we have to do and the don'ts, we can say, wow, Krishna is really making himself more available to me today. And that's so wonderful. And we can pray, Krishna, you please lift the hill of Govardhan over my head, shelter me, and everything will be okay. Hare Krishna. Canto 7, chapter 10, we'll go over verses 11 through 24, and then we'll focus on verse 11. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Kunja Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Gop Yashodanandana-braja Ranjana Yashodanandana-braja Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Jaya Gopi Chanavallabha Girivaradari Gopi Yashodhanandana Prajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Hare. Oops. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Shri Radha Madhava ki jai, Shri Radha Kalashanji ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And if we can do the Sanskrit and English of our invocation verses, please. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devyam sarasvatim vyasam tato jayam udirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer the respectful obeisances to the personality of Godhead, Narayan, unto Narayan, Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, and to Mother Sarasvati, the days for learning. Nashtapreya Shabreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. By regular attendance on the Srimad Bhagavatam and by the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart is almost completely destroyed. In service to the personality of Godhead, whose praise with transcendental sound is established as an irrevocable fact. Thank you. Om Megantamarandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmritam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, but my spiritual master so kindly opened my darkened eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto them. Hare Krishna. Okay, so Prahlad Maharaj has been giving prayers to Lord Nrsingadev, and he's going to hear from the Lord himself. Let's start with 7, 10, 11, please. Hearing from Narada Muni at the moment, I believe. Anybody with a mic? Thank you. Tulsi Saki. Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Go ahead and read 2 verses per person, please.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "My dear Prahlad, a devotee like you never desires any kind of material opulences, either in this life or in the next. Nonetheless, I order you to enjoy the opulences of the demons in this material world, acting as their king until the end of the duration of time occupied by Manu. It does not matter that you are in the material world. You should always continuously hear the instructions and messages given by me, and always be absorbed in the thought of me, for I am the super soul exiting in the core of everyone's heart. Therefore, give up fruitive activities and worship me."
My dear Prahlad, while you are in this material world, you will exhaust all the reaction of pious activity by feeling happiness, and by acting piously, you will neutralize impious activity. Because of the powerful time factor, you will give up your body, but the glories of your activity will be sung in the upper planetary systems, and being fully free from all bondage, you will return home back to Godhead. One who always remembers your activities and my activities also, and who chants the prayers you have offered, becomes free in due course of time from the reaction of material activities.
Text 15 through 17. Prahlad Maharaj said, "O Supreme Lord, because you are so merciful to the fallen souls, I ask you for only one benediction. I know that my father, at the time of his death, had already been purified by your glance upon him, but because of his ignorance of your beautiful power and supremacy, he was unnecessarily angry at you, falsely thinking that you were the killer of his brother. Thus he directly blasphemed your lordship, the spiritual master of all living beings, and committed heavily sinful activities directed against me, your devotee. I wish that he be excused for all these sinful activities."
This is amazing, right? Hiranyakashipu had Krishna right in front of him. Couldn't recognize him at all. Matter of fact, looked at his enemy. So to me, it reminds me also that, as devotees, we have this opportunity to see Krishna right in front of our face. Like, for instance, right now, the Srimad Bhagavatam is Krishna himself, right? And so often what we do is sometimes we're wandering off here or wandering off there, but really let's make sure that we know that Krishna is right here in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and so we can intensely meditate on the words that are being spoken to us. It doesn't just become some class that we sit in, it becomes something that's active in our life. We have that tendency, right, is to get content, and then we just kind of like, we're thinking about the next service or the next service or the next service. But Krishna is right in front of us right now in this Srimad Bhagavatam. And if we engage in that way, with that intensity, he'll reciprocate in an amazing way. Please, 18.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "My dear Prahlad, O most pure, O great saintly person, your father has been purified, along with 21 forefathers in your family. Because you were born in this family, the entire dynasty has been purified. Whenever and wherever there are peaceful, equipoised devotees who are well behaved and decorated with all good qualities, that place and the dynasties there, even if condemned, are purified.
My dear Prahlad, king of the Daityas, because of being attached to devotional service to me, my devotee does not distinguish between lower and higher living entities. In all respects, he is never jealous of anyone. My dear child, your father has already been purified just by the touch of my body at the time of his death. Nonetheless, the duty of a son is to perform the Shraddha ritualistic ceremony after his father's death, so that his father may be promoted to a planetary system where he may become a good citizen and a devotee.
2 more, please.
After performing the ritualistic ceremonies, take charge of your father's kingdom. Sit upon the throne and do not be disturbed by materialistic activities. Please keep your mind fixed upon me. Without transgressing the injunctions of the Vedas, as a matter of formality, you may perform your particular duties. Sri Narada continued, thus, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead ordered, Prahlad Maharaj performed the ritualistic ceremonies for his father. O King Yudhisthira, he was then enthroned in the kingdom of Hiranyakashipu as directed by the Brahmanas.
Thank you, each and every one of you. And then we'll go to 11, please. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Nakyanti no me maya let's see here. Me maya one more time, a little bit louder. Maya jati hasisha Nakyanti no me maya jatva ihashisha Ashyashate mutra chaye bhavad vidyaha Ashyashate mutra chaye bhavad vidyaha Tatapi manvantaramita datra Tatapi manvantaramita etadatra Dayistasvarnanam manubunksvabogan Datyeshvaranam manubunksvabogan Nakyanti no me mahi jatva ishasya Asyaste mutra che ibhavarad vidyaha Atapi manvantaramita datra Datisvaranam manubunksvabogan Bolo, please. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Naikantito me mai jantve esha shisha Asyaste mutra che vibhavad vidyaha Api manvantaramita datra Dateshvaranam Vanuvacha Naikanti no me mai jatva ish Asyasyate mutra cha e bhavad vidyaha Tatapi manvantaramita dadatra. Tateshvaranamanu Naikanti no me mai jatva ishashya. Asyasite mutata api manvantaramita data. And we'll go right to translation and purport, please. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, My dear Prahlad, a devotee like you never desires any kind of material opulences, either in this life or in next. Nonetheless, I order you to enjoy the opulences of the demons in this material world, acting as their king until the end of the duration of time occupied by Manu. Please repeat. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, My dear Prahlad, a devotee like you never desires any kind of material opulences, either in this life or in the next. Nonetheless, I order you to enjoy the opulence of the demons in this material world, acting as their king until the end of the duration of time occupied by Manu. Purport. One Manu lives for the duration of time calculated to be an aggregate of 71 yuga cycles, each of which equals 4,300,000 years. Although atheistic men like to enjoy material opulences, and they endeavor with great energy to build big residences, roads, cities, and factories, unfortunately they cannot live more than 80, 90, or at most 100 years. Although the materialist exerts so much energy to create a kingdom of hallucinated Although the materials exert so much energy to create a kingdom of hallucinations, he is unable to enjoy it for more than a few years. However, because Prahlad Maharaj was a devotee, the Lord allowed him to enjoy material opulences as the king of the materialists. Prahlad Maharaj had taken birth in the family of Hiranyakashipu, who was at the topmost materialist, and since Prahlad was a bona fide heir of his father, the Supreme Lord allowed him to enjoy the kingdom created by his father for so many years that no materialist could calculate them. A devotee does not have to desire material opulences, but if he is a pure devotee, there is ample opportunity for him to enjoy material happiness also, without personal endeavor. Therefore, everyone is advised to take the devotional service under all circumstances. If one desires material opulence, he can also become a pure devotee, and his desires will be fulfilled. It is stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 2.3.10, Akyamam sarva kamova moksha kama udaradihi tivrena bhakti yogena yujate purusamparam. Whether one desires everything or nothing, or whether he desires to merge into the existence of Lord, he is intelligent only if he worships Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by rendering transcendental loving service. Hare Krishna, Jai Srila Prabhupada. So, Prahlad is being ordered by the Supreme Personality to take on material opulences. Wow. So many times we hear about how the Lord, being so kind to the devotee, will take away everything. But in this case, he's giving everything to Prahlad Maharaj. An opulences that we can't even imagine. His father was such a big materialist that he took over the whole universe, right? And had everything that a materialist could ever desire, right? And then Krishna says to Prahlad, here, you please take it. And Prahlad says what? Nah, come on. do I really have to? And Krishna says, yes. I want you to do this. I want you to take on this devotional service, right? And that's the thing, is the pure devotee is interested in devotional service. It's not the interest of material happiness or material distress. It's the interest and focus of devotional service. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita 2:44 that the mind of those who are too attached to material opulence and to or sense gratification and material opulence their minds become bewildered by such things, and the determination for devotional service doesn't take place, right? So we need to become determined in our devotional service, and so the mind doesn't become bewildered by these things of opulence or not opulence, right? Even not having opulence is to a degree an opulence because renunciation, right? Sometimes we're forced to renounce, right? But even this is an opulent. You know, sometimes have you ever gone through Dallas and you see so many homeless people and they're smiling sometimes, you know, not all the time, but even them sometimes they're smiling and you go, wow, man, they must, you know, have no cares in the world, right? Or you see your cat or your dog laying down and they're sleeping and you're thinking, man, this animal sleeps all day. Well, that seems like the life, you know. So these nice renounced cats, right, or dogs have some kind of opulence, you know. But how do we become determined? How do we become determined so much in our devotional service that our mind doesn't get distracted? We don't become bewildered of these material opulences. And, we must take instructions from the previous acharyas, right? And we have this wonderful book called The Nectar of Instruction, right here, by Srila Rupa Goswami, right? Purported by Srila Prabhupada. Interestingly enough, Srila Prabhupada, in each purport, just about, he does 3 paragraphs of his commentary, and then he gives a summary in 3 paragraphs of Bhakti Siddhanta's commentary on the Nectar of Instruction. And so in this Nectar of Instruction, Srila Rupa Goswami has given us do's and do nots, right? And so what I'd like to do is focus on the do's. He asks us that we become very enthusiastic. He says these are the favorable things for devotional service: to become enthusiastic, to have confidence, to be patient, to abandon the association of non-devotees, to follow in the footsteps of the previous acharyas, and to take up association of the pure devotees, right? So when we do these 6 things, we can become very steady in our devotional service. Enthusiasm, Srila Prabhupada says, the enthusiasm just isn't feeling excited. You know, this isn't, sometimes people think, am I feeling enthusiastic? Yes, there is a feeling of enthusiasm, but the enthusiasm is taking action. But action from whom? That's what Srila Prabhupada says in the purport. He says, we're taking action for Krishna. So we're getting things done. We're not sitting there meditating in the forest on our 120 rounds. We're encouraged in this line of disciplic succession to get out there. Get out there and do things for Krishna. Do things like preaching. Do things like making outfits for the deities. Do for Krishna. Yes, there's chanting 16 rounds at least, right? And by the way, I'm not saying that people who chant more than rounds are in some kind of misunderstanding. Of course not. But the point is that their action, even chanting more rounds, is an understanding that that's their duty for Krishna and that's their devotional service. And their determination and enthusiasm to do that takes them to devotional service in that way. And then we're asked to have confidence, right? Confidence. We're not asked to have blind confidence. Actually, it's said that blind confidence is condemned. But we're asked to take the step of confidence that we've come into this association. We're hearing from Srila Prabhupada, and so forth. Let's try to, let's get to a point where we're following his instructions. Let's try to chant 16 rounds. Let's try to four regular principles. And then we get up to a platform where those become regular, right? We're fixed in our 16 rounds and our 4 regular principles, right? So so that confidence should be there, that we can know that Krishna is doing anything and everything for our advancement, right? Srila Prabhupada says in the purport, he says that confidence is surely Krishna will protect me and give me everything I need for the advancement in devotional service. So we take shelter of Krishna in this way. We take shelter that he will protect us, and so therefore the material opulences, we are aware of them and we're knowledge in them, but we have confidence that by chanting our 16 rounds, following our 4 regular principles, associating with devotees, and following these rules and regulations, we have a armor on us. Yes, it doesn't feel good when you're in war, right? You get scarred, you get punched, you get cut, you get so many injuries in war. However, you come back and you get rested up, you get your energized, right? So similarly in devotional service, we chant our 16 rounds, we come to the temple and we feel that invigoration of life by the mercy of Radha Kalashanji. And then we got to go out and do our work, right? And we should be confident that because we are following in the footsteps of the previous acharyas, following Srila Prabhupada's instruction to chant 16 rounds, doing things like Mangala Arti, our morning program, that we're putting an armor around us. There's a certain amount of protection. Have you ever chanted your 16 rounds and you go, ah, when you put down the bag? Anybody? Yeah, right? Instead, let's go, ah, now I have protection. Now I have the protection of Srila Prabhupada. He asked me to do my best to chant 16 rounds, and he's giving me the confidence that Krishna will protect me. It's not, I'm done. It's, I have the protection. There's a certain amount of protection that goes into chanting 16 rounds. And if we do it regularly, that armor will be there. And therefore we can go out in the material world and we can get scarred up, we can get punched around, we can get abused by the boss and stuff like that. And we come back and get healed, get the Band-Aids, get the first aid that we need, right? Not that we should have the attitude that we're always getting beat up, but the nature of the material world is to get beat up, right? It's there. It's when you're in the ocean and you're drowning, it doesn't do any good to pretend like there isn't any water or there's no land around, right? It's the truth. So in this material world, we do have this understanding that we're in a drowning situation, but we've been given this wonderful mantra, these 16 rounds and these 4 regular principles that keep us afloat, right? They keep our heads out of water. So then we have patience. This, what I find is very hard for me, is patience. Because patience takes a level of confidence and enthusiasm that is very stable, right? Because you have to remain doing the activities of Krishna consciousness, the devotional service, and we have to have a certain level of confidence that surely Krishna is protecting me, and therefore we have to have the patience to let things develop themselves. And that can be very hard because we go, oh, I have the confidence, I have the enthusiasm, where's my benefit? where's the results, right? However, as devotees, we're taught that the results do not matter, that the results are determined by Krishna. So what are we looking for? We're looking for that we're making progress, right? So whether we fail or we succeed, we're in the mood of making progress towards Krishna. And in any situation, whether it's fail or success, that is possible. We can take steps towards Krishna. Matter of fact, How much love are we showing Krishna when there isn't the results? That we continue to be determined, we continue the enthusiasm, we continue the confidence. Krishna is quite often putting his devotees in this situation where they're having tough, difficult times, right? And it seems, where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? Krishna waits, sees the determination, sees that confidence, sees that enthusiasm in the devotee, and he comes in at the perfect time and be the perfect hero, right? Everybody cheers. Ah, Haribo, right? So in our life, we have to come like this. Let Krishna be the hero. Where Bhaktivinoda Thakur says in one of his instructions, do not be a hero. We should not try to be a hero. We should do our devotional service. We should do the best we can. But Krishna is the hero. So therefore, we're praying him, Krishna, you're my hero. You're the hero. So you please swoop down. You come lift the Govardhan hill on your time. And I surely know it will be perfect. Then we're asked to abandon the association of non-devotees. And I quite often see that this is a little bit misunderstood in our tradition, because sometimes people, especially people that come first, they think that non-associating means not being around people or even hanging out with people. But association goes deeper than this. Association means that the people that you're hanging around are determining the behavior that you have. In Krishna consciousness, we're trying to have the characteristics, matter of fact, that was one of the verses in there, that the characteristics were around devotees. Matter of fact, will you pull up that verse? It's around 20? Around 20. 7:10:20. It was spoke today. No, there's one where it says about being in the characteristic of devotees. I'm sorry, I didn't see exactly what it was. But if we can go to the translations only, maybe we can find it. It's a beautiful verse. I'll look too. Maybe we can find it. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. 19? Wow, it's so close. Whenever and wherever there are peaceful, equiposed devotees who are well behaved and decorated with all good qualities, that place and that dynasty, there's even if condemned, are purified. Wow, what a verse, right? So we're trying to develop the qualities, the characteristics as a devotee. And so therefore, we let the association with devotees determine our character and how equiposed in our behaviors. If we're hanging out with others, we don't let their characters and their behaviors determine how we act. We don't let it bend us. We give them association. Instead, what we want to do is we want to help them to think about their behaviors in a sense of what would Dristadumna do. That's very powerful. If somebody's associating with our resident monk here, Krishna House resident monk, and they're determining in life when they go through an action, I wonder what Drista would think. Wow, that's powerful, right? And then we, as devotees though, we're trying to help them to come up to what would Srila Prabhupada do, you know? But at first, because we're representing Srila Prabhupada, it is okay that those people think that, hey, what is the perspective of this person? And so if you notice in your life, you have that thought process. What will this person think? Maybe you have a conversation with that person in your head. Maybe you're having an argument with them in your head. These kinds of things. There's another person that is determining how you think, how you act, right? And so we want to get, as devotees, we want to abandon the association or the influence of our behavior from people that are not interested in Krishna consciousness. We want to be determined by the association, which is the last one, of the pure devotee. What would Srila Prabhupada want me to do? How? By the way, at first we get into this position where we think, what would Srila Prabhupada want us to do? And often what we'll do is imitate Srila Prabhupada. And that's okay at first because we don't know, right? We're often confused about who we are. But eventually we want to grow up through the mentorship of Srila Prabhupada and our mentors and our Shiksha Gurus and our Diksha Gurus to understand who we are. What's my devotional service? What's my nature? How do I behave? And then we determine through Srila Prabhupada's association how he would want us to act. How would Srila Prabhupada want me to be in this situation? And so that's a little bit of difference about the imitation of a devotee and the following in their footsteps, is because we're trying to determine the action, the appropriate action, by our heartfelt offering to Srila Prabhupada. I think that this is what Srila Prabhupada want me to do in this behavior, so we do it. And then often what happens is because Srila Prabhupada's kindness, he'll help us. We'll read in his books, we'll have some kind of realization, and Srila Prabhupada will adjust us if we're a little bit wrong. But he still accepts, just like Krishna, the offering. I'm trying to act in a way that you would be pleased, Srila Prabhupada. I am. I'm, our sincerity is there. We make mistakes, and we'll get corrected. And so, if we're corrected, we should look at it as the greatest opportunity, right? Let me adjust my service so that it can please Srila Prabhupada. So in that little part right there, we got the non-association, or banning the association with non-devotees and associating with the pure devotee, right? And then we want to follow the ban. And what's the last one though? Oh yeah, I guess, okay. And we even talked about following the footsteps of the previous Acharya, right? That we want to understand their instructions. So we're given books like Nectar of Instruction that start us from the very start. It says, Srila Prabhupada says in the introduction of Nectar of Instruction, that this Nectar of Instruction, these 11 verses by Srila Rupa Goswami, 11 verses, this would take you 3 to 5 minutes to read if you just read the instructions. It can take us from a neophyte devotee to a pure devotee. Can you believe the potency that's in Srila Rupa Goswami? That is amazing. That by these 11 verses, we can become pure devotees. And the first one is no joke. He says, follow these 6 things, and you can have followers all over the world. Whoa. Talk about going from 0 to 100. Not that his devotees were interested in followers and stuff like that, but what his point is that by controlling your tongue and controlling your senses, that you become qualified to be able to help and mentor people. Because without the senses of control, what we end up doing is we end up mentoring people or teaching people based on what we want instead of what they need, right? Our interest needs to be completely on that person and what's best for their devotional service and how to cultivate that nicely. But when we are attached to the senses and the tongue, belly, and genitals, we have a sense perception that they are a tool for our pleasure, right? In some way, shape, or form. I won't get too much into that, but that's a very interesting point, that because of our sense gratification and our contact with material nature, we start seeing others as material nature, and therefore we want to dominate it. We want to control. So to become a mentor, you can't have any desire to dominate or control somebody. You have to simply be in complete dependence on Krishna and that you're their servant, actually. Wow, I'm completely this person's servant. Okay, we don't let their association bring us away from our devotional service, but we need to be able to see them and be able to help them in properly, not by what we want. Our senses want to be more clear, is we don't want to control people over what our senses want. We don't want them to be an object of our sense gratification. So, we read in 11 that Krishna is asking Prahlad Maharaj to take these opulences, to take this material opulence that his father has left him. And Prahlad says at first, please no. Krishna says, no, you're a devotee. Please take this service. And Prahlad accepts it. And so what we talked about in the class section is about, okay, we're being asked to do a devotional service. How do we stay determined, whether it's with this opulence or that opulence? How do we stay in a way that our mind does not get bewildered by material opulences or sense gratification. Hare Krishna. Any questions, comments, thoughts, corrections? ¿Por qué? Hare Krishna. Thank you, Tulsi Saki Prabhu.
These verses were so just pleasing to read together. And you were mentioning verse 19, 20, 21. And then I was just reading through the purport of 21. And here it says, of the 12 authorized devotees, Lord Brahmanarada, Shiva, Kapila Manu, and so on, Prahlad Maharaj is understood to be the best example.
21, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Just the translation. Sorry, I didn't mean to snap at you. Just apologize.
Yeah. Those who follow your example will naturally become my pure devotees. You are the best example of my devotee, and others should follow in your footsteps. So that was very powerful. To even amongst the 12 Mahajans that we acknowledge, Prahlad Maharaj is considered to be the best example of a devotee. So something very wonderful for me and everyone to meditate on.
Such a wonderful point. These chapters, the 7th canto is just so amazing, huh? You know, you really, when you read it, you get a real understanding of why Srila Prabhupada has encouraged us to pray to Lord Nrsingadev, you know? You hear these prayers by Prahlad, you hear the prayers by Hiranyakashipu's prayers. You hear Lord Nrsingadev's instruction. You hear Narada Muni speaking, right? It's amazing that Srila Prabhupada has given us this. And each day we can pray to Lord Nrsingadev for protection, right? And we can pray to Prahlad Maharaj so that we can follow in his footsteps, follow his example. Wow. Thank you for bringing up that verse. Any more thoughts on it? Could go forever, huh?
I was just reminded that was the pastimes of Prahlad Maharaj that Lord Chaitanya and Gadadhar Pandit, they were constantly, reading. Is that right? I mean, I may be in...
Prabhupada Priya, is that correct? That in Chaitanya Leela, that Lord Chaitanya and who? Srivas Pandit were always constantly thinking about the pastimes of Prahlad Maharaj and Lord Nrsingadev?
His two favorite sections of Srimad Bhagavatam were the sections about Prahlad Maharaj, and the other one is Dhruva Maharaj. Lord Chaitanya liked to hear those over and over again.
And this year we have the Kalashanji players. Kalashanji, what is it called? What's the Kalashanji players doing? What was the last year's one? Ramayan, that's right. Maybe Dhruva Maharaj next year.
I was thinking here about this verse. Those who follow the example of Prahlad become pure devotees. I was just kind of like thinking, well, what does it mean to follow the example of Prahlad Maharaj? And in my mind I was going through different pastimes that we hear. It's many, over multiple chapters about Prahlad Maharaj. And it starts off that he's being terrorized by his father, basically. He's being terribly abused by his father. And yet he doesn't become disturbed, He just takes shelter of Krishna. He's totally peaceful, confident in the protection of the Lord. And then simultaneously he takes every opportunity to share Krishna consciousness with others. Right? He's preaching to his school friends there. And then also he's totally fearless. This huge demon that strikes fear in the hearts of everyone in the universe. Even Prahlad's guru, Narada Muni, is engaging in the menial service of Hiranyakashipu. And Prahlad Maharaj is just like, no, I'm going to Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Padasevanam. He's just so fixed in the devotional service of Krishna that and so confident in his protection that he's not at all disturbed by his father. Even when his father is like directly, personally trying to kill him, he's like, yeah, Krishna is the source of all strength, my strength, your strength, everyone's strength. He's everywhere. And so, and then constantly, chanting and teaching the chanting of the holy names to others. So I was just reflecting like that. That to follow in the example of Prahlad Maharaj is like, it's a high bar. But if we can do it, then we will naturally become the Lord's pure devotees.
Hey, I was thinking on that comment that when in life you're so determined for something, if something is a bother, you just kind of get past it and go, like you're running to Sunday feast, or excuse me, here we go. You're running to Mal Krishna Goswami's feast. The best feast of the year, right? That thing was, and you hit your toe on a rock. You forget it. I don't have time to be hurt. I got to get to the feast, Prahlad Maharaj's determination for just being at Krishna's lotus feet is so much that these things are just like whatever, that focus, that determination. Mr. Duna Prabhu, welcome back.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for the nice class. This section, it reminded me, and it's nice that you just brought up His Holiness Tamal Krishna Maharaj. There's this little story he shares where Srila Prabhupada said, Krishna could give you the whole world in a moment, but what would you do with it?
Yeah.
So Prahlad Maharaj is the example of what would you do with it? Prahlad Maharaj would use it in the service of Krishna. It kind of ties into what you were saying about nectar of instruction, that when we have the sincere, pure desire to help others, Krishna can, give us disciples all over the world. So, yeah, when we have that humility like Prahlad Maharaj, Krishna feels like he can give us the whole world.
I was this weekend in Houston for Gopal Krishna Goswami's Disappearance Day celebration. And matter of fact, Drista, when we were in Delhi at the Radha Parthasarthi temple, we were with this brahmachari who was in charge of VIP preaching. Anyways, we were at the temple, and a couple days before had been New Year's, and he said, yeah, on New Year's we had 2 million people come through the temple. I was like, no, come on. I couldn't count 2 million people. It's just I was like, no, come on, for reals. He's like, no, we had 2 million people. Radha Parthasarthi temple in Delhi. Yeah. And he's like, no, we counted them. And so I was thinking about what it would take to organize this kind of one day. We have 15,000 people come to Radha Kalshanji's, and we're like, whoa, 2 million people. Think about the organization and the leadership to do that. And Gopal Krishna Goswami had this kind of leadership where that was just one of his temples that he was in charge of. So literally, here's somebody who showed. I remember Gokulananda Prabhu when we celebrated here said, when you hear Gopal Krishna Goswami speak, you can see this is a Prabhupada man, right? You can hear it in his, and think about the determination and love it would take to do something like that. For a sadhu, fame is almost like a pain, right? like you're like, I can't even chant my 16 rounds because so many people are coming up to me and talking, right? So my point is that Gopal Krishna Goswami had no gain in this materially, in a sense, but his love for Srila Prabhupada was so much that he was organizing a place, just one place, that could have 2 million people in it. That get an ISKCON management just for a little bit. My prayers go to Nishinga Rupa because it's intense being in management with Radhakal Shanji being your boss, with Srila Prabhupada being your boss. This is just one temple, one festival. I heard that he was connected to 260 temples. The things the things that you have to overcome to do something like that are uncomprehendable. Like, just try to organize one program a week and see how hard it is. You know, is the speaker going to be here? Is Chuta Govinda? Just try to organize a book distribution tent 2, 4, 5 times. He's shaking his head. He knows. Yeah, it ain't easy. It ain't easy. You know. Thank you for your service, Prabhuji, because you know that determination to share Srila Prabhupada's books is there. You know, and so my point is you talk to somebody who's trying to do things like this, and it ain't easy. Can you imagine the determination and love that you'd have to have for Srila Prabhupada to do something like that? It's uncomprehendable. And so this is a little bit of an example in our life, in our ISKCON, of somebody who had so much determination and love that they were willing to overcome. I don't like to mention this, so I apologize if it's disturbing to anyone's son. But if you saw Gopal Krishna Maharaj the last couple of years of his life, his body in a material way, I know we don't look at the spiritual master in a material way, and this, follow with me. If you look at it in a material world, that body was done years ago. It was done. But because of his spiritual quality and his determination, he was even carrying a body that should have been done years ago. He kept it going. That's amazing that that spiritual potency could take something that was not meant to keep on. By the way, this is my own realization. I apologize if I'm off. Please, if you say something. But that was my when I saw somebody who was taking something that was not meant to materially go as far it was, and he just kept it going because of his determination with Srila Prabhupada. Amazing. Similarly, Prahlad Maharaj wasn't meant to get free of a pit of snakes, right? Prahlad Maharaj wasn't meant to live in a sense. What I mean by that wasn't meant to, materially these things don't happen, right? Somebody drinks poison and is like, no big deal. Get thrown in, get trampled by elephants. No big deal, you know? And Gopal Krishna Goswami was dealing with so many things similar that he just overcame, and heart attacks, this, that, diabetes and stuff. Nope, I got just like a mosquito. No big deal. I got service to do for Srila Prabhupada. Okay, I'm sorry, I went off a little bit of tangent there. Any final comment, thoughts? Yes, Prabhu. Can we get the microphone to here?
The verse about where Nrsimha Devi is telling Prahlad Maharaj that if there's a devotee like you, 21 generations will be liberated, right? So I was thinking when I first began my Krishna conscious journey, I was like, I'm a devotee now, my 21 generations will be liberated. But then Nrsimha Devi says, a devotee like you. So to be like Prahlad Maharaj. I mean, and then I thought like, I don't know about my generations, but I cannot even liberate myself right now. So I was like wondering if there's any suggestions to follow in the footsteps of Prahlad Maharaj and become a pure devotee in this lifetime.
We listen to Prahlad Maharaj's instruction, right? Prahlad Maharaj is encouraging his students so many ways, right? And he's saying so many times, he says, whatever you do, get connected to Krishna. Just be at Krishna's lotus feet. Just keep on being there. Be there, be there, be there. And that's half the battle, you could say, is just being in the presence of devotees in Krishna. Chant your 16 rounds, even when it doesn't feel good and you don't see that you're making progress, and you don't, just do it. Because it's like we're an iron and fire. And when an iron and fire, the purities are coming out. So when we're seeing our impurities come out, our disturbed mind and these things and stuff like that, we get a tendency to think that things aren't going right, but they're going right. That's why you're burning out these things. However, we have to make the choice to stay. I stay chanting my 16 rounds. I stay associating with devotees. I ask the questions to my mentors. I ask my questions to my gurus, you know? So that's following in the footsteps of Prahlad Maharaj, is he's giving us instruction. And we can be very see, the thing is that we often think that the 21 generations are being liberated because of us. No, it's because of Krishna. Krishna decides that 21 generations are going to be liberated, he'll do it. So we just take, just like Prahlad, we have such little influence in a sense, but we have complete attachment and a complete shelter of Krishna. Krishna, if you want 21 generations in my family, you please do it. It's up to you. Just please let me be there. Let me be at your feet. Let me think of you, you know? And so we really need to grow from this mindset of I do this in 21 generations. And by the way, it's completely natural, right? So it happens to everybody. And we have to switch it to Krishna. If you so desire, you will, anybody can. Anybody who takes shelter of you, you have the power to liberate hundreds of generations, how many ever you want, you know. So often what we do is with that mindset of I do this 21 generations is when we fall short of it, what do we think? I don't get this. No, the idea of the devotee is Krishna, you are the doer. You're the one who liberates, and therefore I just take shelter of you, and I'm doing my best, and I keep on taking steps. I keep on following the instructions of my guru, and I just keep moving. And then, whatever happens by your mercy happens. You see, it's a side of a state of thinking of results. If I become a devotee 21 generations, that's result driven, right? That's and me driven. We want to switch to I'm doing my duty and doing my devotional service, and whatever happens is determined by Krishna. However, I have some confidence because I've seen it in the people around me. I've seen it in Srila Prabhupada. I've seen it in his words. I'm seeing it from Guru's words, and therefore I have some confidence that I just keep moving forward. Is that okay? Any thoughts?
Thank you, Prabhu. It's beautifully answered. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So let's please pray to Prahlad Maharaj for the determination that nothing gets in the way of our devotional service, that any distraction, so-called distraction, is but a little tiny bug that we flip away and we move on to our devotional service, that we become so attached to serving the devotees, serving Krishna, that our determination comes like Prahlad Maharaj. And he can give that to us. By his association, by following in his footsteps, we can get that determination. And we remain patient that Krishna will give us in time. Okay? Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Prahlad Maharaj ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Pramanande Hari Hari Bo. Vanchika Patarubhyascha. Kripa Sindhubhyevacha. Patitanam Pavanebhyo. Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Antikoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.